Hey friends, what's up? Welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. We're out on the dock today trying to help you answer the great question, do I want to live cove life? Do I want to live big water life, right? So pros and cons of being in a cove, pros and cons of being out on the big water. Always seems to be a healthy debate. When we're having conversations, you might have a divided and split household, right? You might have one person that wants to live in the cove for those reasons and another person that wants to live out on the big water. So we typically will have this type of conversation when you're reaching out and we're helping with home searches, right? On top of trying to find the right location around the lake and the right home, right? Bedrooms and bathrooms and the steepness of the driveway and all the amenities that you're looking for your home. Well, here you also have to answer the question of being inside of a cove or being out on the main channel. It adds another element to your home shopping, right? You don't have this in a suburban city. So you gotta make sure that you're doing your research. You gotta be comfortable with what you're purchasing. And you have to understand there are two different kind of lifestyles, pros and cons on both. If you wanna be out on the big channel, the main channel, if you wanna be tucked into a cove. So right here, we're hanging out on my dock. Chilly morning for sure, but I wanted to kind of give you a perspective of the two, right? Because our property is kind of right on the corner of big lake and cove, right? So big water and cove. So we kind of have the best of both worlds. We also have the negatives of both worlds, right? So we get the pros and cons all at once, but the main, right? The main conversation, the main concern when looking at these two is gonna be the main channel, the big body of water, and the boat traffic that comes along with it, right? So I'll give you an idea, right? If we go out this way, that's gonna be the main channel, right? So the main channel is amazing. And for all the pros that we love the main channel for, the biggest one is you get to see all of the boat traffic, right? It's wonderful. You can hang out on your dock or you're sitting up on your deck and you hear this massive engine roaring and you're trying to figure out where it's coming from. It's almost like that fighter jet in the sky. You can hear him, but you're like, where is he? Where is he? Where is he going? Where is he coming from? Well, that's kind of what that main channel gives you. You see normal boating activity, but when you get to see, you know, these big power boats flying by at 50, 60, 70 miles an hour, like that's pretty cool, right? And then you get big giant cruisers and a lot of different activities. So there's something to be said about that, to kind of have that traffic, to see those things. That's super cool, right? So that's one of the benefits to having the big water right out here. The clear disadvantage in that is going to be the waves that come along with it. Most of those waves that are coming in, you got to understand again that Lake of the Ozarks is a seawall lake, right? So as waves go, they're going to hit the seawall and they're going to roll back into the middle of the lake. So seawall, back in, back in, back in, and those waves will eventually build up over time, right? They're going to get bigger and bigger. And so that can be a concern, right? When looking at the big main channel, or even some of the fingers off of the main channel are still big lakes, that's typically the number one concern. Number one, boat traffic. Boat traffic means safety for family if they're on the dock and swimming and hanging out. Now, typically you don't see too many like boating accidents of a boat hitting a dock or anything like that, but you could have the effects of the waves. Now, the waves coming in are going to have an impact on whether you're just sitting around and hanging out on your dock, maybe swimming in the water, could have an impact on the seawall. And then the condition of your dock is a big component too. Now, there are docks down here that are a wood component, right? So they're wood built docks. And then you now have these concrete docks. So depending on the dock on the property could have an impact. So my dock, for example, it's probably one of the smallest docks on the lake. It's wood. And so when these waves come in and you're on the dock, you're rocking. The dock's rocking. So if you're out here hanging out and you feel this wobbly wobbly kind of motion, right? That's because the dock doesn't have a lot of weight to help offset the waves. Even to the point of like when you're inside brushing your teeth and you feel like you're still out on the water. It just is what it is, right? So our dock isn't the biggest, it's not the strongest, it's not the heaviest, and so it hits and takes a lot of the impact of those big waves kind of coming in. The other issue that we normally have is our children are 5 and 6, right? So imagine this little child in the water with their life jacket on, and all of a sudden these big waves are coming in and you're just getting kind of compiled on and getting absorbed and hit by these waves. That typically stirs some type of crying episode or some type of thing with our children every every time that it's on a busy weekend or a holiday weekend, it just is what it is, right? Weekends are gonna be busier than the normal weekdays, but you're going to feel the effects when you're in the water swimming. You're going to feel the effects when you're on your dock. And so if you're out on the main channel because you want the big views, you want beautiful scenery, you wanna see the boats, super cool, I agree with you. And we also wanna make sure that the dock is the right type of dock for that. And most of the docks out on the main channel kind of are, right? They've been upgrading them kind of year after year. My neighbor's dock, 2 houses down, is more on the main channel, and his dock is concrete and it's big. And I look over at those guys as we're rocking all over the place, and they're just sitting there hanging out, sipping wine, having a good time because their dock isn't rocking like ours. So again, the main issue with the big channel is gonna be the waves, the boat traffic. It's gonna be amazing views. It's gonna be a lot of fun boat watching. However, one of the drawbacks is obviously gonna be the waves coming into the dock, the condition of your dock to handle those waves. Those waves could have an impact on your seawall over time. It could have an impact if you're just floating in the water trying to hang out with your friends. You're going to feel that. So again, those are the things that you're gonna kind of wanna weigh. Again, our property is on the corner. So big water, Cove. So if we want Cove world, we can obviously just take the boat down the Cove. We can anchor, we can float, we can hang out, you can surf, you can ski, you can do everything you want into this Cove. And now you have a little bit more protection from the big water. So clearly if you're in a Cove, and let's say you have young children, it's going to be way easier to hang out on the dock, to swim, to feel protection, right? That's typically the main thing with folks with kiddos is, I want them to be safe. I want to protect my children. And so maybe the Cove is the best way for us to go. The only downside to the Cove, potentially, depending on how far the property is into the Cove, you might not feel like you're even on a big lake. And so you'll see this when you come down and visit, and we can drive you around and show you around. But there are properties at the end of this Cove that if I was there and I just looked across the Cove and saw my neighbor, it doesn't feel like you're on this big lake. It doesn't feel like you have the effects of what this is. And so it's a different lifestyle, right? And so if you go down there, there's pros and cons to it, obviously, and that's kind of the debate that we're always having with folks. However, if you find the right property that is in a Cove, and there are some amazing houses right down in this Cove and all over this place where you have a little bit of Cove protection, but you can still see out. They can still see out into the big water, and so because of that, they kind of have the best of both worlds. Like, we for sure have the impact of best of both worlds, right? The negatives of best of both worlds, but they have probably more protection from the Cove, but they still get to see kind of the big water. So, you know, you're kind of weighing your pros and cons and figuring out, you know, hey, that boat's ripping. Whew. So obviously when you're searching for the right property, you're doing it because, you know, you're investing down here, you want a vacation home, second home, you're relocating permanently. Hey, during your home search, we have to make sure, number one, you know the area and the location of your property, right? Again, it's tricky to drive around this area, so just your daily commute from your home to the school or to work or to retail stores or grocery stores, we have to make sure you have the right location of where to be on the lake. But once you find that area, you have to obviously ask the question, do I want to be on the big water? Do I want to be inside of a Cove? If I am in a Cove, how deep into the Cove do I want to be to where I don't lose the effect of the big lake? If I want to be out a little bit further, hey, what's the condition of the dock and what does that look like? And it's tricky to try to get the best of everything. There are perfect properties out there that will absolutely meet your needs, but those are some things to think about. Also, just depending on the boating lifestyle you want to live. So if you have a sport boat, if you have a pontoon, a fishing boat, if you recreational boat, like whatever it is, getting your boat into your dock or onto your lift when you're in that main channel will probably be trickier, right? Because you're gonna have to deal with the waves. Not only are you trying to fit a boat into a slip, but now you're rocking with the waves and the current and all those kinds of things. So there's just things to think about and consider, right? You might find the absolute perfect property, but it might not be in the right, you know, big water or channel location that you're looking for. So just like everything with the home search, you're weighing pros and cons, you're considering different types of lifestyles. You gotta find the right home, again, with the bedrooms and the bathrooms and the amenities that you need. The steepness of your driveway driveway is also typically a conversation that we're trying to help people understand, that there aren't a lot of flat lots around here. And so as you're dealing with everything on shore and trying to make sure you find the perfect home for retirement or for your family or whatever you're looking for, you also have to take the next element of being offshore, right? Once I step onto my dock, what am I gonna have to work with? Do I have the big water effects and the waves and the boats? Is my dock strong enough to handle that? Is it anchored into the seawall well enough? Those are the things that if you're shopping from a distance, you 100% want to have the right people on your team to help navigate those things. We would never want to help sell you a home or get you into a property with the understanding that you're gonna have to invest 20 grand or 25,000 into upgrading your dock or fixing things. The dock game down here is next level, right? You can spend 100 grand on a dock in a heartbeat. And so we want to make sure that the things are in the good condition. There is nothing wrong with being on the main channel. There's nothing wrong with being on the corner of a cove or a main channel, but we want to make sure that you're okay with understanding the waves, right? The condition of what you might be looking at. We want to make sure your dock is strong enough and it's anchored properly. And again, if you decide to go into a cove, great. We might not want to put you at the end of the cove where you don't get the effects or, have the benefits of the big water. And so weighing all those factors is a lot of fun. Obviously, when you come down here, we like to drive you around the area so you can feel that. If we have an opportunity to take you out on the water, we can get you out there and get a feel for what that looks like on the water too. So just a fun little video. Finally, the weather is starting to warm up a little bit, even though this morning is cold. It is getting warmer, which means spring's almost here, which means summer's around the corner, which means our inventory levels are gonna pick back up as well. So if you're on a home search, super cool, keep an eye on that. If you're not on a home search and you're curious about this area, obviously I encourage you to reach out. Sitting out on my dock, hanging out is a lot of fun. Obviously, talking to you is a little bit more fun. So call me, text me, email me, let's jump on a Zoom call. Let me do what I can to help you with your relocation process, answering the question of big water or cove life. So again, I love the videos. I love more to help you out. So reach out whenever you can. And until then, we'll see you on the next video.